All right, presentation. We're going to do our very best to give you one. There may be moments where it's not going to be worth squat because I'm going to try to pause and if I have something to say. But if we're lucky, we're all going to fall into character and we're just going to give you a rather rapid presentation. Out of respect, we're going to do this faster than it should be. I cannot stress to you enough, you can time the success of your presentation by length. If it is less than an hour, wad up your paper, throw it away, and consider your life ruined for that minute. If it is an hour and a half, you're okay. If it's over 2 hours, start spending the money because that's a done deal. Every minute you go over an hour and a half is a successful presentation. Every minute under is the level to which it starts to fail. The magic cross is that half hour up or half hour down, and that's just the truth. That is because you're going to get lost on personal things about them and what they do. That is where you bond. That is where you build a relationship. That's where you answer what they actually care about. What people care about is themselves and what they want to do and feeling like they can get what they want. They really don't care about you. They really don't care what you do except to the extent it can get them there. Nobody cares about a cancer doctor until they have cancer. And then they really only care about the cancer doctor to the extent he cures their cancer. That's a fact. So know that going in. This is about them. Now, I'm standing up. I'm going to kind of fake this in. This is done in my office, not the sales presentation room due to time, space and constraints and other usages. Apologize for not being the proper setting. We will show you shots of what a proper setting should look like in a little bit. Here's the most important thing. Your receptionist or whoever should sit them down. You should have them looking at some kind of photo gallery, books, brochures, whatever you have, and you should have them in there with the little circular video that we run going. You should have them in there a minimum of 3 minutes, a maximum of 10. I kind of like to hold it to 5. You want them to inundate a little. You want them to slow down. You want their heart to have quit beating quickly. Everything to have relaxed. And then you walk in. And you do it very politely. You should open the door, and then you should close the door behind you. Greet yourself and go straight at it. Okay? So here we go. Hi, guys. Bob Braudrick with You Build It.
Hi, Harmony.
Harmony, nice to meet you.
Samantha, nice
Sam, nice to meet you. Thank you all very much for coming in. Okay, forgive me just a minute if I don't do my cheat sheet because I've already forgotten half of what you told me. I'm not going to be able to remember my details. So, last name we're going to go with?
Cryer. C-R-Y-E-R.
C-R-Y-E-R. Today is the 30th, I believe. Is that correct? And your name was Harmony. H-A-R-M-O-N-E-Y?
E-E.
E-E. And your name was Sam. Okay. And phone number for y'all?
834-0034.
And is yours the same, Sam?
Yes.
Mailing address?
1701 Northeast 34th. That's in Moore.
Thank you.
73160.
Email?
It's just my name.
Harmony Cryer?
Cryer at Hotmail.
All right. And are you looking at building a new home or remodeling?
Building new.
Do you know roughly what size?
I guess that depends on what you tell us as far as price. We're thinking about 3,000, 2,500, 3,000, something like that.
All right. And do you have plans or at least a rough idea of?
No, we've kind of been looking online. We have some ideas.
Perfect. And you have land already?
Yes.
All right. I like it. Okay. So where's your land? That's the boring stuff. Now we get to things that actually matter. Where's our land at?
Choctaw.
Choctaw?
Choctaw.
How many acres do we have?
5.
5 acres. Does it have water and sewer? We digging well and septic?
It's going to need well and septic. Just a field for now.
How'd you come across it?
Craigslist.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, it's wonderful. I love Craigslist. Absolutely.
How long ago did you track it down on Craigslist?
Was it been about 6 months ago? Yeah.
Now, are y'all goofs like me and you go to Craigslist all the time and are looking for things when you're interested in it until the right one pops up, or did you just get a miracle hit?
We're on it all the time.
Yeah.
Fun stuff, yes.
All right. So how
We were looking online. We were looking everywhere, and we just happened to find it on there. So we went and drove by it.
Was it for sale by owner? Was it?
Yeah, it was for sale by owner. So we got a great deal on it. Hopefully, have some equity in it already.
How will we pay for it?
$50,000.
Okay. How much do we still owe?
Nothing.
So it's paid for.
Yeah.
So your cash flow down-wise on this is cakewalk, simplistic. We own that in.
Yeah.
Good. You're in much more
Been
phenomenal.
saving for a very long time.
You're in better shape than you think.
Oh, okay.
You're in quite good shape from that end. Now, we still have a billion things to answer, but that goes with that. All right. So what road comes up to the property?
89th.
It's off of 89th. Now, is that part of 89th where it's gravel, or is it paved all the way up to the property?
It's 8.
Okay.
What is it? 89th and what? Hiawassee. Okay.
All right. That's enough for me to chase. All right. We are going to do my very best to walk y'all through things, okay? We're going to get lost. We're going to run down rabbit holes. That is a good thing. If all we're going to do is fly through the flip chart and read this, I could have mailed it to you. So the point of this is to give us a track to run on and something to refer back to when we get lost down a rabbit hole. However, if you have any questions, if you have anything else, let's go with it accordingly, because I'm not trying to control this. This is about trying to answer the questions for you and what you're trying to do and explain you build it and how we work best. So, what is You Build It? We are the nation's premier home and resource center. We provide professional service for construction consulting. Why use You Build It? Save time and money, minimize mistakes, control quality, protect your investment. We kind of already know all this stuff or we wouldn't have been in here. It's kind of like the history of You Build It. We've been around since 1988. We've done over 11,000 homes and billions of dollars. That kind of structure is already known. The fact that you're going to save money using You Build It is pretty well established and is out there. The fact that we are a consultant that's going to guide you through things is well known and established. The purpose here is to try to explain how that works and why. We break construction into two different stages. We have the planning phase and we have the construction phase. I'm going to tell you now the extent to which you like to plan, the extent to which you like to be prepared, is the extent to which you're going to love or hate You Build It. If you are not a planner, if you are a let's just go do it kind of person, which is fine, and if that's what you need to be, we'll adapt as best we can, but this is not really a structure for that. If you are a measure twice, cut once kind of person, if you're an engineer that wants to know the facts and get it all put together, we are your paradise. Nobody plans at the level we do. Everyone thinks the thing that sets us apart the most from traditional builders is the fact that you're managing your own job and our job is to advise and consult and walk you through. That matters. That's big. That is a thing. Here's the truth. That is not what truly sets us apart. The extent to the way we plan, the system we have for planning, the structure for it, which no one else has, knows, does, or understands, is a whole different beast. Changing that to the fact that it's a changed relationship of that I am on your team and on your side looking at everything from a cost-benefit analysis makes it a whole new game. Let me try to make sense. Planning phase is a feasibility study getting started, then the construction. We guide you through planning. You Build It system is like learning to dance step by step. That's sweet. I love it. Getting to the other part that matters. We use a puzzle because it works very well and it's a great image. Planning is broken into 5 stages. We have budget, land, plan, specs, and job costing. Budget is the first and most important. I'm going to come back to that one in a minute if you'll forgive me. Budget is not what you think it is. Budget is making sure you're realistic about cost to build and making sure you have your financing lined out. Let me say this. I do not need you to have your financing pre-approved and set for me. It is irrelevant to me. I need it for you. You need to know you have the loan. Don't put in all this time. Don't put in all this effort. And even though the upfront money is very minimal, don't lay out all that cash when you don't know for a fact you're going to qualify for a loan. So that is a big deal. Trust me, we're going to get to the end of that in a minute. just so I know as I go through this, do y'all what have you done on the lender side?
We did a little thing online, just what kind of payment could we afford, and we were comfortable with it,
What kind of range did they put you?
Well, we can afford more than what we want to build, hopefully.
Always.
Hopefully, but we do want to save money. That's why we're here. So.
What's your budget goal?
I think we would like to do it for around 250, 300. It just kind of depends.
250, 300 on a 2,500, 3,000 square foot house? You just died and went to heaven. It's going to be hard to spend that kind of money, guys. That makes you one of the most luxury homes we ever built. We're in phenomenal shape. I don't even have to work. I'll explain that in a minute. But trust me, average nice luxury home we do is $80 to $85 a foot. You're telling me you have a budget of $100 a foot. We're not going to get that high. Out where you're building, we shouldn't get that high. My goal, my purpose, my plan is to bring you some decent equity. If you want to, that's your call. I'm not in control of this, and I'm not setting anything. I'm just telling you we're in really good shape on the financial side of this. There is, and here I'm going to back up for a minute because this is very, very important. So I'm going to walk you through a first grade picture because it matters. There is a triangle to construction. There are 3 things that impact your home, and only 3 things, period. Everything is a subcategory of one of these. The first is size. Size matters to this extent. 2 2x4s cost twice as much as 1. 2 feet of concrete costs twice as much as 1 foot of concrete. That's it. That is the relevance of size. Next is money. You can call it budget. You can get fancy, whatever you want. Call a spade, call a dog. It's budget. It's money. How much cash you have affects. Next is features. This is the biggest, widest, and most complex of them all. Cover any corner of the triangle, and all you can manipulate is the remaining 2. Cover budget, and you can manipulate features, and you can manipulate size. Cover features, and you can manipulate size, and you can manipulate money. Cover any 2, and you have largely dictated the third. In other words, if you come to me and say, this is the size of my house and this is the money I have, you've largely dictated your features. Come to me and say, these are my features, this is my money, I'll tell you the size. Size and features, I'll tell you the money. These things work that way. Now, don't feel bad about covering a corner of a triangle. The whole purpose of the planning phase is to get knowledge, is to get facts, is to get down to what we need to know. That is what covering a corner is. Covering a corner is not limiting. Covering a corner means we have knowledge, we have facts. This is a very good thing. Now, this is where the image of the triangle gets kind of quirky. The first thing covered as a rule is size. That turns this triangle into a teeter-totter. Now it's a matter of what money and what features balance this out. Money is usually relatively known. In your case, we've got 250 to 300. I got a max cap up here, probably a goal of staying down there. So I've got a little flexibility, but not a ton. So it's going to get into what features do we have that fit that. Every one of us knows if we want to be stupid and wasteful, we can destroy anything. I can go buy a solid gold fountain for the front porch. It costs $300,000 if we really, really, really wanted such a weird thing. And boom, budget falling and the trample's out. That's not how we're going to go about it. We're going to look at it and try to adjust accordingly. Now, one thing I do want to mention, because some people don't get this, but most people do, design is not relative to size. Design is a feature. Design is the most expensive feature of your home. Get a real fancy, real crazy, all cut up house with 20 angles and a real high pitch roof, and that is a very expensive feature that's going to adjust. Come out with a real simple, real basic square box with a 6/12 pitch, we're extremely cheap. We went with the most low cost. I mean, we're $55, $60 a foot to build this thing. That is going down. So keep in mind design as we go through things. Any questions on the triangle? It's very important. We're going to refer to it constantly, so my apologies if it doesn't seem that hard. Land. Land is not rocket science. You already have your land. I have a 5-page report we need to fill out. We're going to come and walk the property with you. The guys are going to meet you out there, my construction consultant, and he's going to walk it from a builder standpoint. Where do we want to put the house? What's involved with getting it ready? Where are we going to get well and septic? What do you need to go through? It's a very clean, very easy 5-page report. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to take 30, 45 minutes. No big deal. The fact that you already have land makes this a pretty clean process. 5 acres makes it real easy, because on 5 acres, we're going to find somewhere good to put the house. Next is plans. There's 3 ways to go about getting plans. There's probably more, but there's basically 3. Number 1, the most affordable. Go online, find a set you love, buy it. If you can find a set of plans online that's the set, that's what I want, that's what we're going to get, perfect. That's the way to spend your money. Get me the reproducible. That's going to cost you anywhere from $800 to $1,000. And we're going to print a lot. Don't give me the builder set. Don't bring me 5 or 8. We're going to print about 30 sets because of how we do things, as you understand in a minute. Bring me the reproducible. Sitting down the printer, it's going to cost you a couple $100 to print your sets of plans. Bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, $1,100, $1,200. We're golden. Next, the other end of the spectrum. Go to a local architect or designer. Hire them to custom draw your house. This is going to run you $3,000 if you're cheap, up to, I've seen as high as $30,000 for real fancy. It's crazy expensive, and it gets to be a hassle, and it's slow, and that. Now, here is my average client's option. If you're like me, if you're like most people, you've gone online, you bought the plan books, you've seen some homes, and I love this kitchen, and if only it had this living room, and that would work if the kids' bedrooms are bigger, if only that house looked like the front of this house, and you have them that you want to blend. Or you've taken those and inspired yourself, and you've drawn it out on paper, and all you need is somebody to finish that up. I have 2 designers I work with on a regular basis. We do so much business with them for $1,500. They will meet you here on site. They will custom draw your plan and pay for the printing costs and everything. It's a couple few $100 more than just buying one online, but it gives you the freedom to make the changes to make it exactly the way you want it. That tends to be the best and most effective fit. It tends to go very, very well. It keeps me involved, helps you guide and advise you as relates to that design question on cost to build and features, and it goes pretty well. And because we do so much, it's dramatically cheaper than the cost of hiring a straight-out designer. So that is the simple part. Money, land, and plans. There's the old saying, you got to have 3 legs to a stool to be able to build a house. You got to have money, you got to have land, you got to have plans. Any questions on any of those 3 areas at all? Either I'm really, really, really good, or I'm really, really, really bad. But you sure? All right. Next is specs. Spec meeting is done with the construction consultant, and this is a big meeting. This is the first one where you're finally really, truly putting us to work. Believe it or not, this is where we're going to give you a college education. You are going to have a good time in this meeting. However, you're going to give me a lot of time. You're going to have to take at least a half a day off work, and there's nothing wrong with taking a full day vacation for this. We're going to cover a huge round of information. We're going to have our 58-page spec form, and our purpose here is to look at all the different ways to build your house. I promise you, you've studied a lot. You've gone online. You've researched a ton. You, and I say this with love and respect, don't know what you don't know. There are so many different ways to skin that cat, to build that house, to put those pieces together, that it's immeasurable. For example, different foundations. What's better about this one? What's worse about this one? What does it cost? Why does it cost that? How does it work? I am not going to tell you. I am not a traditional builder. I'm not, this only foundation, this only got. No. My job is to consult with you. My job is to advise you. My job is to give you knowledge. We're going to look at every single aspect of your home from a cost-benefit analysis. I want you to be able to look at it and know what's better about this, what's worse about this, what is the cost difference, What is the relative value based on the things I want to achieve, I want to do, and I want to get out of my home? There is not a right or a wrong answer. If you want 2x4 construction with bats for your insulation, as long as you understand what is good about it and what is bad about it and what the cost is and you are educated, that's the right choice for you. If you want insulated concrete forms for your walls and you understand what's good about it and what's bad and what's different about the cost and the relative value, and that's what you chose, that was the right decision. You are never going to have us weigh in on anything. Let me pause for a moment and stress this. You are paying me to be your advocate. By contract, by ethic, I cannot serve two masters. I can't take your money and work for you and be seeking to make money somewhere else. From that end, financially speaking, I don't care. I care that you know about everything. I care that you know what you choose. I care that you know why you chose it. I don't care what you chose from a back pocket financial standpoint. I do not get rebates. I do not take kickbacks. I do not have builder markup. I even go so far that if I have guys that I do joint advertising with, I disclose that to you to make sure you know and there's no risk of internal conflict. My job is to get you the most home for the least money possible. You will not only buy everything, labor and materials at my cost, you will buy them cheaper than most other builders can in the state, just because of the structure and the quality and the volume. And I'm never going to say this is where you get this or this is where you get that. We're going to go through. Any questions on that flow?
When we come to this meeting, do we have to know exactly what kind of cabinets we want, and what kind of countertops? I mean, how much do we know in advance? Because I don't think we're to that point where we know what we want.
Come in with I've had clients come in with an absolute photo gallery. I mean, ridiculous organization, pictures from magazines, pictures from friends' houses. This is exactly what I want here. This is how I want this painted. This is how I want this stained. That's fantastic. And I'd had clients come in and go, we were in a house once. Everything in between. There is not a right or wrong way to go here. This is an education meeting. This is not a, here's 3 cabinets, pick one meeting. This is an understanding of, for example, and I'm going to use cabinets because you brought it up. I want you to understand the difference between buying knockdown cabinets, which means things like furniture you buy at IKEA, and building it, and then the value of buying that, what's good about it and what's wrong. And then the knowledge of you can do it yourself, but do you want to? Or do you want to hire a guy to do it and what that's going to go? All the way to a factory built. What is better about those? That's where we set the dimensions and we make our choices, and in a factory environment, they make it. And they put the finish on it. Or going to built on site, or built but not painted or stained. There are a lot of, just in that realm, and trust me, those 4 are just a few of, understanding what is good and wrong about these. There's not one that's better than the other. There is always one that's better than the other relative to you and your cost and your goals and your look and just what you like. So we're going to go over that. From there, we'll go shopping. We are not going to settle anything at this meeting. At the end of this meeting, we've got an algorithm that helps. Trust me, I've never seen us more than 3 or 4% off. I mean, but we always say 5 is the max, plus or minus. We're going to run our little algorithm at the end of this meeting based on the area of the choices you made to give you a cost to build analysis. In other words, we'll be able to say, okay, based on that, this is what it's going to cost to build your house. And the reason we do that there isn't, all right, we got the money, let's go get the loan and do it. Not at all. The reason we do it there is going back to the triangle. If we're way off on the money, now before we've gotten emotionally attached to something, now before we've chosen it, and you get that, if I can't have the tile I won't have the house, which you'd have never said at this stage, but you become emotionally attached to the pick. If we're there, this is the time to go back and figure out. It's possible, doesn't happen often, but I've been there, where we lift our hand off a size and we redesign the house accordingly. But that is where we'll do that. From that, we have a working budget, a working range of what we're looking for. Now, this is where, remember when I told you I'm going to print too many copies and I'm going to have 30 sets of plans? I'm going to send this out to everyone I use relative to the areas you want to go. I'm going to get multiple bids on lumber. I'm going to get multiple frame or labor bid. I'm going to get different bids on the foundation contractors. I'm going to be sending all these plans out, and it's going to take me 2 to 3 weeks to get all of my quotes back. Some of them have to go to engineers and be engineered, and that takes a little longer and gets there. In the meantime, while I'm getting those hard bids back, you're going to be going and making your choices. Now, we've chosen factory-made cabinets. Well, here's the 3 places I use. You need to go look at them and decide which one you like. Which one gives you the look, feel, feature, price range that you're comfortable with. And you're going to get the quotes from them. And you're going to bring them back to me, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to have our job costing meeting. And job costing meeting is where we're going to finalize that triangle. We're going to cover up the final thing. When this meeting is done, we're in paradise. We have knowledge. We're going to end this meeting with a line item budget, and we are going to know. We're going to know because we've already chosen exactly what's going in our home, who's doing the work, what it's going to cost, and why we made the choices we did. There's the old saying, knowledge is power. You just gained huge power because you have huge knowledge. We have all this. Trust me. I'm going to go through the construction bit, but I'm going to go through it faster than you think I should. If we have all this, construction is just a flow chart. I drive my guys crazy, but I use the right example all the time. It's a recipe. If I sit there and throw you a bunch of ingredients and tell you use these to make lasagna, it's probably going to be a bit of a mess. But if I say, go get these ingredients, these exact ones, and this exact measurements, and this exact situation, put them together in exactly this path and this route, and then cook for this time at this temperature and take it out, you know what? Everybody is going to produce a fantastic lasagna. Now, are you going to be perfect your first time with just the book? Maybe not. But if your mom, who's made it 20 times, is standing there to help and guide you, yes, you are. And that's where we as the consultant come in. We have our knowledge. Trust me, if you wanted to, and I'm skipping ahead here and I apologize, if you wanted to take just that, my manual, and build your house, you could. You now have what you need. The value of me being there to guide you throughout the process is what keeps it from being scary and threatening, is how you take care of uh-ohs and boo-boos. Because have I made it slightly oversimplistic? Maybe, not too much. Because look, it's a custom home. It's never built before. There's going to be a boo-boo here. There's going to be a headache there. And that's why we're there. But right now, let's save that for a minute, because I want to get into the construction stage in a moment. Any further questions on planning?
Yes. If we, you have your contractors that you guys prefer. If we know somebody that can build the cabinets or do any of the work for us, can we do that?
Absolutely. Keep in mind, and in no way being disrespectful. Remember when I said earlier, I don't care from a financial standpoint? I number one, absolutely, that's nothing to me. Number two, I would be out of line. I would not be empowering you and enabling you to build your own home if I dictated who was going to do something. If you have somebody that you want to use to do some work or somewhere you want to buy things, do your, God bless you. Let's save money. Because look, let's go over where the savings come from. And by the way, something we haven't gotten into yet that we really, really should have, I've never gone this long without doing so, is my fees. Everybody kind of likes to know I get paid. I want to go over that briefly, and then I want to cover where we save money. My fee is $2,500 due up front at the time you sign an agreement. That is to offset the planning phase. Construction phase is $5.85 a square foot heated space, $1.95 a square foot unheated. We do have a minimum fee of $15,000. If you're wondering where that crosses, it's about 2,300 square feet. If it's less than 2,300 square feet, the minimum kicks in as a rule. There can be variation, but usually that holds to it pretty straight up. This is all part of your construction loan. When we're talking cost to build, when I'm saying price per square foot, when I'm saying 80 a foot or 100 whatever, that includes my fee.
I'd have to do the math and go, okay, you said 80 plus 585 plus 5. It's all in there. I'm not unethical. So that is part of the cost per square foot. That is part of your bank loan. That just comes out of. Money out of pocket is the $2,500 up front plus the cost of the plans, whatever you buy, whether you go with a designer I'm going to refer you to, buy them online or whatever. Now, all of that is to go here. Main places you save money using you build it. Number one is obvious. My fee versus a traditional builder. That doesn't save you as dramatic as you think. You're not saving 30% just because we're that much less. We're about 60, 70% less. By using us versus a traditional builder, usually saving somewhere between $10 and $15 a square foot. The other place you're going to save money more than you think, I apologize for that. The other place you save money and more than you think is in the planning stage. The level we plan, the knowledge you have, is going to make you make wiser choices. Having the facts put out beforehand so you know a cost benefit is going to have you making wiser choices. A couple places you're going to pay a little more. There's certain things you're going to look at and go, oh man, that's an extra $4,000. Spray foam insulation, for example. That stinks. That's a lot of money today. That's not adding a dime to the value of your home. Difference is, it's going to pay for itself in 2 years. It's going to lower your heat and air cost from $500 a month to about $140 a month. In 2 years' time, it pays for itself. After that, you're saving about $3,000 a year. That's a huge plus. So getting that knowledge, just spend a little more here, but you're going to spend a whole lot less in a lot of other areas. The other one you're going to save is doing work yourself. That is, you choose to clean the house yourself. Oh, I love to paint. I want to do what? And you don't have to. You don't need to do anything. But I do find most clients that come in either have a desire to do something themselves or, as you intimated, have a friend or a relative that's going to do something. Rule of thumb, you're going with your friend or relative because they're saving you money because they're more. Now, I will tell you this. If you tell me my Uncle Ted is doing my concrete, I'm great with that. But I am going to get you a competitive bid because every once in a fluke while, the friend or relative views this as their chance to get even or make big money or whatever. I don't know. I just want you to have a number to know. Likewise, I want you to make sure you're fair. If Uncle Jim's doing your concrete, he's starving to death and you know it, and the fair price for his job is $4,000, and he's doing it for $500, you may want to slip Uncle Jim a little extra money because a workman's worthy of his hire. But either way, we're going to give you that just so you have a number to track from. Now, there is another place where you save money, and I do very much want to go over this, and that is shopping. You are going to buy materials. You are going to buy labor at my cost. That is huge. You're going to buy cheaper than most other builders. You're going to have a blast shopping with this stuff. However, and I cannot emphasize this enough, you're buying it wholesale. There is a truth of wholesale people forget. The store's still making a profit. It's a difference of how much profit he makes. If cost is $50 and retail $75, and Tier 1 gets it for $73, and Tier 2 gets it for $70, all the way down to us at Tier 5 where you're getting it for $62, he's still making $12 profit. That's a phenomenal discount in savings, but it is there. And I say this with love. All I have time to do is negotiate on a big scale. I leverage my size, my power, and everything to say this is the tier rating discount we're going to get, blah, 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 and you get that. That doesn't mean you can't at times negotiate better prices somewhere. I do not have time to go on your individual house every day and dig through Craigslist and go to eBay and try to find that exact light fixture you wanted or the exact furnace or whatever. All I can do is send you to the store to sell it to you wholesale. You do. And you will be amazed how much money we can save because you now have the freedom to find a bargain on Craigslist. I've had the client that bought. I'm dead serious. This one happened just a few months ago. We had a fireplace, very high-end fireplace. This is an $800,000 home. And they had it picked out. Retail on it was $6,000. Wholesale from our supplier was $4,000. A heck of a deal. But the client went online and found one in Kentucky from a builder that bought it, whose client didn't want it and had it left over, who was selling it for $2,000. for the cost of loading up, driving up there for the weekend, have a nice little weekend in Kentucky, get a little barbecue, a little whiskey, and truck and driving back, client saved $2,000. Say the trip cost them $1,000. You got a free vacation out of it and still saved $1,000. You can save a lot of money going that way, and I strongly, strongly encourage you to do so. By the time all of these discounts and savings are added together, it's why my average client saves about 23%. That's how that value gets into there. Ran down a rabbit hole. Where were we? Any follow-up questions on that end?
How much time do we need to devote to this? On a weekly basis. What are we looking at as far as
Planning
time?
phase or construction phase?
More the construction phase.
Construction phase can vary, but you're going to have to be able to be at site. I hate saying this because I sound like I'm not answering your question. I'm answering your question. It depends on personality. It also depends on how much you like it. Some people are very slow and very deliberate and very much want to be there all the time. I've had clients put as much as 15, 20 hours a week into the job. I've got others that I struggle to get them to put in 4 hours a week. They run out, they take a look, they do half their managing online by the cell phone when they're taking their coffee break, and they run it that way. You can do that. Now, I do want you to work from the assumption that you're going to need to put in an average of 45 minutes to an hour a day on site during work hours. Are you really truly going to have to do that much? No, you're not. But I'd rather you think that. I would rather you accept today that you have to put in that much work and then not have to, than think, oh, I'm only going to go by once a week and find out that doesn't work. Now, I do want to say, and I don't always go over this, this is more just to help back, if you both work 8 to 5 jobs, if you're sitting there going, you can't do that, we do have a product called You Build It Plus. It is $4 a square foot, heated space only, where we will be your project manager. That isn't real easy terminology to understand if you don't come from our industry, so let me try to draw a picture that makes sense, and please ask if you need more clarification. If I am a traditional custom builder, I can really only oversee 3 houses, maybe 4 at a time. But I'm doing well and I'm doing successful and I've got 8 under contract. I have 2 options. I can tell 4 of them go away or come back in a year, or I can hire a foreman, a general manager, what we actually call a project manager. That is somebody that I've shown what to do, knows how to follow, and his job is to be on site and oversee the job. His job is to handle those 4, ordering the materials, ordering the subs, checking, making sure it's going well, and then he turns into me, the general contractor, weekly reports so that I know what's going on, I know when to write the checks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He is not authorized to make decisions. He is not authorized to make changes. He has to come to me for that. You basically hire us to be your project manager. You're still the builder. You still go through all the planning process. You still know everything. You still decide who to hire. You can still hire who you want. My job is to be there every day to see the job, make sure it's going correctly, basically be your eyes and ears on site. My job is to order the materials for you per your instruction. My job is to schedule the subs and go through everything. Then once a week, I'm going to send you a report with photographs of everything going on and give you a call, and you're going to have to make some time to talk to me, discuss. And I hope it's all great. I mean, we're going to review it, and hey, it's fantastic. But if there are any questions or anything else, we're going to do so. There are 9 distinct stages of construction where I will not move forward till you're out there, where you've got to see the property and we need to walk it together. We can do those, at that 5:30 in the night. In a plus, we will make that adjustment and do a late site visit or maybe even a Saturday here and there. Hopefully during those you can sneak out during a lunch break and we can do it during the day. But we can handle that for you. Now, I do want to be very realistic. That is a phenomenal service. That is very high quality service. It is a bargain to hire me for that. However, it is $4 a foot. There is a cost to the labor. So hold that and know it from the security. My experience is I've had a lot of people that go ahead and go, well, we're going to go that route. And once they've gone through the planning and they understand how clean this is and how well it's laid out for them, they change their mind and don't. So it's always there. We're more than happy to. But it's not You're going to put in some. Don't think this isn't work. It is work. You're earning your money. Nothing's free in life. But it's not brutal. It's not going to wear you out. Did that hopefully answer your question?
It did. It did. Now, what happens, we've been around the construction industry, worked for builders and things, but we don't necessarily, we wouldn't know if something wasn't done right. Is that our responsibility to know?
That's my job.
And forgive me for putting a pin in that for a second. When we get into construction in just a minute, I promise you I'm gonna overkill that answer.
Okay.
And I've hinted at it already, but trust me, I'm going to overkill it. Okay. Any others on the planning or that side of it, or time? All right, construction side. And this is where I would reach back and grab my construction manual that I didn't have enough brains to plan for and bring in here. This is construction. This is our construction manual. And yes, it looks big. Don't be intimidated. I'm going to make sense out of it in a minute. Remember, all our hard work was done in planning. We have now finished that. We have done our plan. We've sent our budget to the bank. Bank ordered the appraisal. We've closed on our construction loan. We're ready to get started. You're going to come in here one last time. This is the last time you have to come see me, and this is to get your construction manual. This is step by step, ABC, 1, 2, 3, how to build your house. This is all reference material. Believe it or not, this huge thick book, there's only 9 pages you really need to read. Everything else is for you to reference. So let's go through briefly and stop me if you have any questions. Introduction to table of cares. Welcome letter. This is 2 pages worth of reading. Read over this. All this is just triplicate forms. We have your budget that we already set. That's a copy of your line item. You see here in red is the work you're doing yourself, cost per square foot. There we go. Telephone call logs so you can track, keep forms of those. Things to do just to help you stay organized. What we are here for is our construction schedule. Phase 1, we break construction into 3 stages. This is the first one. Stage 1 takes you to frame. Stage 2 to drywall. Stage 3 is your finish work. As you can see, and yes, it is intentionally oversimplistic. We want a first grader to be able to get this book and follow. It says call and schedule in the exact order. I do not expect you to have memorized who you chose to get your brick from. But when it says to order your brick, all of this in the back, and you turn, you find the tab that says brick, and this is every one we use in case you change your mind or want to get a second reference. And here is the hard bid for who you actually chose. Company name, contact name, quote number, exactly what you were quoted, the dollar amount for it, all the way through. All you do is pick it up and go. Do not be nervous. Do not be intimidated. They already know they won. They're excited they won. You're going to call and say, hey, Jim, well, that's great. I've been waiting to hear from you. This is super. We're going to take you through. All you have to do is hit stage, flip to the tab, get the quote, and go accordingly. Once a week, speaking in terms of a construction week, you're going to hit a tab that says call you build it for a site visit. That is where we're going to meet you on site, and this is answering the question you had. We are going to review the work that you have to do. We are going to get there as your backup, your experience, your builder to see how it's being done. Is it done correctly? Is it being done on time? Is it being done according to your budget and your specs? Simply put, we're there to do a 2-week review. Number 1 is the week that just finished, and that's what all these forms are for. These are your triplicate forms for us to go through and do a checklist to review the work that just finished. Number 2 is to preview the week to come. Once we've gone over what's done, what was good, what was bad, what is everything else, I want to review the week before you so you can remember what to be looking for, what things to see. You ever have any questions, any problems, any thoughts, we are always available by phone or email. Don't feel bad. You are never, ever, ever going to over-communicate with our office. My guys spend 2/3 of their day in a daggum car. Trust me, they're sick of listening to Rush Limbaugh. They would love to take your call and discuss your job. So that is how we go through. Now, at each of these meetings, my guys are also going to have a checklist they're filling out. That is as much for us as anyone else. But one of the reasons that the banks love us and do our loans is at the end of that, they're going to fill it out, show it to you, discuss everything, have you initial it. They're going to take some photos of the job and a copy of that, and the photos are going to be sent to the bank. That's what they use to track the review. That's why they like doing our loans so much, And it is very important. Trust me, you always want your lender happy. We will also send you a copy if you want one. There is nothing secret going on here. We are there to help you and to serve you. And serving your lender is one of them. It also keeps us a record so we remember. If you call at the office, we can always reference back because it can be hard to hold it all up in our head. So that is construction. Planning methods, site visits, help with the permits. This is going over the typical savings that we already discussed earlier, just breaking it down. How the equity works, I think we've kind of already reviewed. But before we get lost there, any questions on the construction manual?
Yes, at what point while we're building, is it too late for us to change and decide, hey, we don't want a wall there, or?
That's an outstanding question. It truly is. That is an excellent question. If you will look right here, and this section of the manual is change order forms. You have already heard me say it indirectly, but I want to stress something. And yes, this is answering your question. It's just starting at the end. The mantra, the religion, the secret to being happy, to having a good experience, to building a good home is communication, 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 and I can keep saying the word. It is everything. If you think it matters to a good relationship, a good marriage, trust me, it matters to a house. So, you want to make a change? It's your home. It's absolutely your home. Look, if you noticed on the budget earlier, we always have a contingency fee. I'm going to have anywhere from a 5% to a $10,000 contingency fee in every contract. Why? Because, well, number one, there's some things that just had to be estimated. Nobody's so phenomenal they know exactly how much concrete you have to have. We're going to get close. We may be 200 high, we may be 200 low. The lumber is at best an estimate, how it cut, how it laid out. So it may end up being 400 high, it may end up being 400 low. That's why we have the contingency to cover those. The other reason we have it, people make changes. I don't care how great you are in your mind, how beautiful it drew out, when you actually see it. This is one of the reasons you have to be on site. When you actually see it, you may want to shift something. That's okay. What matters is twofold communication. I'll go over the easy one first because the second one I'm going to sound like a dork. But that. Make sure you. The purpose of this form is you want to make a change, make it. You've heard horror stories, oh, builders mark it up, oh, they kill you. And it's true. I know builders whose whole profit margin is change order forms because they have such huge market. You're the builder. Don't be afraid of a change. Nobody's going to rip you off. Nobody's going to cheat you. You're not going to cheat yourself. You're not saying, well, I think I should mark that up 300% because it was extra for me. No. You're going to be surprised how easy it flows. But what does matter is you make sure they heard what you said. So we're out there. You want to move a wall? And you go to Hernandez and you say, Mr. Hernandez, I'd like to move this wall. He goes, that'd be great. And you say, well, we communicated beautifully. He didn't understand a word you said. All of a sudden, you got 3 walls going in different angles. Or he heard exactly what you said. You just said it wrong. So what you do is you discuss and you say, how much you think that'll be? He goes, oh, about $300. You go, perfect, thanks, just a minute. And you go out to your manual and you pull it out and you put, wall is going to be moved 18 inches into a 32-degree angle. Mr. Hernandez says do it for $300. You take and go, okay, I need to get you to initial this. This is what we said, right? And he's going to say, great, and initial it. Do not, for a minute, be insecure about doing that. You're not questioning them. You're not threatening them. They appreciate it. They want it too. It makes it clear for them. It covers their fanny more than it does yours. They want you to fill this out. But here's what it does do. If you miscommunicated, it nips it in the bud. Oh, no, senor, it was $3,000. Oh, well, leave it like it is. Or, oh, I thought you were, thank goodness you said it. It takes care of that one. Here's the other thing it does. Sleep erases memory. Because to you, there's nothing more important. This is the only house you built. It's the only one you're going to build at least for another 5 or 10 years anyway. This is everything. He frames houses every day. He goes to bed, he had too many beers or whatever, wakes up the next day, forgets. This keeps him from doing that. He puts it on his dash. When he gets done with it, and he's like, I charge you more what I quote, and he charges you $500 extra. Well, you can say, hey, remember it was $3? Oh, I forgot. This makes him remember. Everything in print is the perfect flow of communication. Okay? Likewise, you can give it to me so I know what I'm looking for. You don't have to, but that's what we have in a triplicate form. Next point of communication. I know I'm boring you. Stay with me for just a minute because this one matters. Put it in print so you communicate with yourself. Tracking your budget is everything. It's fine if you make a change. It's fine if you spend that $300. Here's what's not fine. If you don't have the $300, where's it coming from? Remember, we have a very specific line item budget set here. You need to account for that money. If it's, and you need to go to your budget and you need to say, change, plus 300. And you need to make a note, paying out of pocket, paying from contingency. And if you're paying it from contingency, you better go to contingency and subtract 300 so you remember how much you have in there. If it's concrete was $400 less than expected, and that's how you're going to pay for it, you better make that note, and you better make a note that you now only have $100 extra in your budget from that concrete. Because where people kill themselves is they save $400 on concrete, and they spend it 10 times. Well, I'd like to make that change. Oh, it's $300. Well, I saved $400 on concrete. Oh, I'd like to make that change. Oh, it's $200. Well, I saved $400 on concrete. And then you're in here screaming at me, why am I $800 over budget? Because you spent the concrete savings 3 times. So be wise, communicate with yourself, and track that. I'm sorry I overkilled it, but that was an excellent question. I wanted to stress that because it is very important. That was a great question. Any other?
How hard is it to stay on budget? I mean, do most of your houses come in on budget, or?
It is very rare I have a client go over. If they do, it is 1,000% because of choices they made, and they're educated and know how they're going. Now, let me stress, be wise. Use the line item budget. Use the little, it's simple. We keep it simple for a reason. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It fits in anybody's computer. It's easy to put it in there. We have it set to auto do the math. Now, do I have clients all the time that are smarter than me that want to make a little fan? Yes, please do. I had a client once wrote the most complex program. I couldn't even understand it. But by jiggers, he knew where he was to the dime. The only thing hard about tracking your budget is twofold. One is a rather answer, and the other, it can be hard, truly, here and there, because the expenses can go in spurt. You need to watch your money and keep a track of and make side notes. Mostly where people lose track of budget, if they don't, is they just write money willy-nilly. It's kind of like this. Are you the type of person that just keeps an open checkbook in your wallet and just writes a check and figure you'll balance it out at the end of the month when you get the statement? Or do you keep the ledger, and the second you write a check, you pause and go and make a note on the ledger? I don't care which you are, that's fine. What I do care about is if you want to track your budget well and easily, you do it like a ledger. It's exactly the same thing. When you write the check, put it in the ledger, and you'll be good. And if you ever have questions on that, this isn't, well, there's your budget. Good luck. Oh, come in. We will gladly sit down. We'd love to pause. If you want to know my fantasy client, it's the one that will make the time to come in at each stage. At the end of stage 1, come in, sit down. Let me review your budget with you. Let's see where we are. At the end of stage 2, come in, sit down. Let me review your budget with you. At the end of stage 3, nobody ever does, but someday we'll have a client that comes in and sits down and reviews the final thing. But no, it is very, very rare. And it's rare because of the level of detail we put in planning again, because we got all those numbers up front. All right, that goes into the building with equity. Here's our goal. We're going to save 20 to 23%. At the end of this job, you're going to have saved $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. On your house, it should be somewhere around 70. Hopefully a little bit more. Beauty of that is you saved a lot of money. You know what the other beauty is? We just raised your net worth $70,000. Building with equity, we understand how that goes. Satisfied clients, we have a ton in the structure of it, saving you money, guiding you through, putting you with quality subcontractors, people we have leverage with. All of this is good. Here's the truth, guys. It is impossible. It is impossible to build more home for less money. You will be happier. You will have knowledge you never dreamt of. You will be more in control with more guidance. I guarantee you this. There is not a builder in the nation that can bring to you the level of knowledge we can bring you in this umbrella. Between the different guys here and between all the different franchises nationwide and the people we have to communicate with, nobody can even touch the level of knowledge and experience we have to bring. On top of that, you're going to have a lot better time with a whole lot less stress because of how we planned it. And ultimately, to the extent this matters, we're going to build for a lot less money. We will be building for less than your even budget goal. And if you do more, it's because there was something unique and fancy and cool you wanted. I promise you a great time and a very, very good experience. Any questions from here, any more on construction, planning, my dog? Anything you want?
Good job explaining everything. I mean, we watched the DVD, so I think we had a good idea of what it was, and we kind of saw how it worked. So,
well, here is your next step. You go as you will, but your main next step is to get pre-qualified. I have two great lenders, John and Doug. I think Doug's going to fit you a little bit better, but I'm going to put you with them, and I'm going to ask him to give you a call as well. But here is, I call it my overkill brochure. It is more information than you ever wanted or desired to take home. But in the back is my card, is a couple other people's names that we work with. And right here is Doug's information. Give him a call, go online, apply, whatever. And after you have that, any follow-up questions you ever have for me, as I said, I'm always available. Call me anytime, email me. If you do not get me, it's because I'm in a meeting like this. I'm in meetings all the time, but I will call you right back after I get out. And from there, it's just a matter of when you want to get started. We're good to go. Thank you so much, guys. It was an honor to meet you. I look forward to working with you.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, from a presentation standpoint, that wasn't bad. I'm quite happy with it. I think you got enough info. I wish I'd had the flip chart going there a little bit. There are a couple places where I glitched. Any of you want to make fun of me, feel free to call. And yes, I'm sad to say I have not done a presentation in 10 months, so I don't feel too bad about that play out. Rule of thumb, early on, going through this, when they say they have ideas for plans on land, they're usually going to slap a plan out. I'm going to waste as much time as I can. I mean, I'm going to eat that plan alive at that stage. I'm going to give them numbers for cost to build, and they're going to be numbers that make them really happy. I'm going to discuss different details. I'm going to discuss ways to keep the cost down. Yada, 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 yada. I'm going to burn up time there because that is where, remember what I said earlier, they care about them. I need to bond to them. I need to bond them to me as the expert. That is the place where you do it. You get that, you get them tied to that, all of a sudden this stuff matters a lot more and they pay a lot more attention. There's little body language things, stuff like that we're not going to get into. If I normally had a client that was falling asleep on me, I would have really be changing things different. I know Harmony's falling asleep because she does 2 to 3 of these a day and she's bored to death, so I already knew what was going on there. And I would also get her more coffee. But that is a basic... Funny. It was funny as heck. And I used that because it was funny because we can go there. Use your structure, use your flow, go over the things. I hope that helps. If it doesn't, I hope you turned it off before you got to this point. God bless, guys. Have a good day.